Alright, that's your viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. by studio clock. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the news. We begin right away with our major stories. As from tomorrow, February 1, 2023, fuel prices will increase across the national territory, and also the minimum wage of Cameroonians has increased from 36,000 to 41,875 francs CFA. Still in this edition of the news, we tell you that President Paul Biya has finally reacted to the brutal killing of journalist Martinez Zogo in Yaoundé. Paul Biya has instructed the gendarmerie in collaboration with the national police to open up thorough investigations and bring his murderers to book. Those are our major stories. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the news. We just told you in the headlines that fuel prices as from tomorrow, February 1, 2023, are going to increase across the national territory. The price of fuel would increase tomorrow. The premium head petrol is going to cost 736 and 30 francs CFA. Gas oil would cost per liter. Gas oil would cost 720 francs CFA. Petroleum from SDP to industries would cost 560 francs CFA per liter. And also it was announced today that to secure consumer purchasing power, the following measures have been taken. Pump price of kerosene is 350 francs CFA per liter. Cooking gas price is being maintained. That is, the price of cooking gas stays at 6,500 francs CFA, and the remuneration of state employees in Cameroon has witnessed an increase of 5.2% on an average, and the minimum wage of Cameroonians in Cameroon has increased to 41,875 francs CFA. We will be coming back to that in details. That would be in our subsequent news editions. And now we continue talking about the gruesome killing of journalist Martinez Zogo in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. President Paul Biya has finally reacted in a communique that was sent out yesterday. The head of state, President Paul Biya, has instructed the gendarmerie in collaboration with the national police to open up thorough investigations and bring the murderers of Martinez Zogo to book. And also the Catholic Church had earlier condemned the gruesome killing of Martinez Zogo. France also added his voice and says the murderers must be brought to book. Justice for Martinez Zogo. Our reporter Mala Glory read through those communiques. She now tells us more.
After several calls from Cameroonians for the head of state to react to the death of Martinez Zogo, the journalist of Amplitude FM was kidnapped, killed, assassinated and abandoned in the outskirts of Yaoundé. A release has been made public with a word from the country's president. The President of the Republic of Cameroon, through the Secretary of State, has instructed that investigation be carried out in collaboration with the Defense Ministry and National Gendarmerie. An investigation which, to him, should shed light on the murder of the media icon. In another release, bishops of Cameroon have jointly condemned the brutal killing of Martinez Zogo. They pray for peace and unity. According to the bishops, everything should be done to eradicate violence in favor of dialogue. They add that killers of Martinez Zogo must be brought to book and freedom of expression be guaranteed. On the other hand, international community continue to react on the death of the Cameroonian journalist. France has condemned the brutal killing of Martinez Zogo and urged the authorities to investigate and let the perpetrators be punished accordingly. Through the Minister of External Relations, Madame Catherine Colonna pays tribute to the journalist who lost his life while doing his job. These national and international actors all call for justice for Martinez Zogo.
And now, the head of state's instructions to the Gendarmerie and the National Police to open up thorough investigations into the death of Martinez Zogo seem to have been received by some legal minds with some contradictions. We will be coming to their contradictory views that will be in the course of this edition of the news. Meantime, we take you to the Mongo division of the Littoral region, where the inhabitants of Njumbe Penja are complaining that they lack potable water. They have been forced to consume water from springs and other doubtful sources, as Lucille Yengu Esia tells us in the report which comes up next.
Je bois ça, je me lave avec, je fais tout avec. On va faire comment sur le Cameroun?
Water scarcity in Njombe Penja, Mongo division, has been a major challenge to the inhabitants. They complain for over 3 months their taps have gone dry.
It's already 2 months that we don't have water here. And we are suffering for water. We are drinking only boiling water because we don't have choice to do that. Because water, the tap is not coming out.
Over months now, we don't have water. Tap is not flowing. We are really suffering. Look at the type of water we are drinking in this area.
They are forced to resort to a spring, which to them is not potable.
With the young girls, it's very complicated. Because when they use this water, when they come to the stream and bathe, they are really faced with so much diseases because the water is very dirty. The water is very dirty. Some even defecate inside. Some throw dirty anyhow, and that is bringing us disease in this our area.
Why the students complain, they find it difficult to study.
We don't have time to study our book. We are really suffering because of water. When we wake up in the morning, we go to the stream, fetch water, do all the house chores in the house, so we go to school late.
The population of Njombe Penja say they fear the worst. They call on authorities concerned to respond to their worries.
And we told you a while ago that some legal minds in Cameroon have received the instructions by President Paul Biya to the Gendarmerie and the National Police to open up investigations into the gruesome killing of Martinez Zogo with contradictory views. While some legal minds approve, some others think those authorities might not be competent enough to take the investigations to a proper end. Let's now have more with Babila Jonathan.
President Paul Biya's instructions for inquiries into the killing of journalist Martinez Zogo, interpreted as a sign that little or nothing might have been done by judicial services competent in criminal investigations.
Si on en est à attendre ou bien à découvrir récemment du reste qu'une instruction du secrétaire général de la présidence de la République,
Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM legal mind Roland Deu reads, in the intervention of the head of state via the Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic, possibility of laxity on the part of criminal investigation authorities.
Mettent un coup de pied dans la fourmilière, ce qui est, à mon avis, assez regrettable.
To lawyer Roland Deu, the Mefu Afamba and Fundi High Court, and even the Attorney General at the Central Court of First Instance should have taken up the matter to the degree of the seriousness of the crime.
C'est une enquête qui est parfaitement conforme.
Another legal luminary, Georges Tegem of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement CPDM, says President Biya's demand for investigations into the killing of Martinez Zogo is an internal affair of the presidency that has nothing to do with judicial services and so cannot be considered as a violation of the principle of separation of powers.
C'est donc une enquête interne à la présidence de la République.
Le silence assourdissant mais éloquent
on what Maître Deu qualifies as dead silence of the Attorney General. He highlights the point that it gives the impression that the masterminders are being protected.
C'est un peu prématuré de le dire parce que dans ce dossier également, l'ancien dossier du Monseigneur Benoît Bala, le procureur général a pris un peu de temps pour communiquer.
But Georges Tegem underscores the time factor in communication on such issues, saying it takes some time to gather verifiable facts that can be communicated to the public.
And now we talk something else. The Ukrainian president has designated Dr. Christopher Fomunyan as the pioneer African ambassador to the International Coordination Group for Prevention of Hunger in Ukraine. He was appointed alongside other two Africans. And Innocent Ase, in the report which comes up next, tells us more about the Ukrainian program to fight against famine, and also profiles Dr. Christopher Fomunyan in this report.
Christopher Fomunyan, revered United States-based Cameroonian-born, was designated to this Grain to Africa initiative by the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, during a meeting of the International Coordination Group for Prevention of Hunger, ICGPH, that held in Kyiv, Ukraine. Other pioneer African ambassadors are the former president of Malawi, Dr. Joyce Banda, and Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, former Minister of Education of Nigeria and former Vice President of the World Bank. The ICGPH is also made up of representatives from governments and corporations who can directly influence and facilitate the provision of food to millions of starving people in Africa in particular and the world at large, while building international support for the Ukrainian agricultural industry. Dr. Christopher Fomunyan, who doubles as Senior Associate and Regional Director for Africa at the United States-based National Democratic Institute, NDI, and the other two celebrated Africans will serve on the International High-Level Coordination Group of the Ukraine President's humanitarian program, rolled out to protect cultivated areas, maintain production and strengthen food supply chains, as well as also work with the Ukrainian government to source international customers who can guarantee the purchase of the country's agricultural products. Dr. Christopher Fomunyan, 67, is also a political scientist who hails from Guzang Batabo subdivision, Momo division of the Northwest region, where he pursued his primary education before attending secondary school studies in Bali and graduated in 1973. He later attended the Cameroon College of Arts, Science and Technology in Bambili and obtained the General Certificate of Education Advanced Levels in 1975 before proceeding to the University of Yaoundé, Faculty of Law and Economics. Fomunyan holds a licence en droit from the University of Yaoundé 1979, an LLM in International Law from Harvard Law School 1989, and a PhD in Political Science from Boston University 1993. He also holds a professional certificate in air law from the Université Paul Cézanne Aix-Marseille III. Upon graduation from University of Yaoundé, he worked for the Water Corporation, Société Nationale des Eaux du Cameroun, SNEC, and later for Cameroon Airlines, both in the coastal city of Douala, where he established and managed the legal department for more than 6 years before departing Cameroon to pursue further studies at Harvard University. Shortly after graduating from Harvard, Fomunyan served on internships with the law offices of the Bank of Boston and the Standard Chartered Bank in Douala, Cameroon. In 1993, he joined the National Democratic Institute as Senior Program Officer, today as Senior Associate and Regional Director at NDI. Dr. Christopher Fomunyan has organized and advised international election observation missions, designed and supervised country-specific democracy support programs in partnership with civic organizations, political parties and legislative bodies across Africa.
And now we talk politics. The political map of Cameroon has been adjusted by the upcoming senatorials, or with the upcoming senatorials. The list from Elecam presents an electoral map composed of 13 political parties. The reading is being done by Fomi Armstrong Sander, and the report comes up next.
The document from the Directorate General of Elections redefines the political map of Cameroon. The new map as per the 2023 senatorial election will henceforth be drawn with just 13 political parties. Beyond every expectation, the SDF party of Nijon Frundi is seen to be contesting in just 2 of the available 10 constituencies in Cameroon. If the party's participation in its traditional Northwest is no surprise, the surprise comes with its non-participation in other historic strongholds of the Southwest, the West and the Littoral regions. The party currently has 3 members of parliament and 2 councils in the Littoral region, plus the Bafokeng 1 council in the West region, which have all been abandoned in favor of the Adama region, where the party has no councillor. Another catchy observation is the South and the Southwest region, where the CPDM is running unopposed. The CPDM is the only party competing in all of the 10 constituencies available across Cameroon. The CPDM is followed in that rank by the UPC party competing in the Adamawa, the Center, the Littoral, the West and the Northwest regions. A win for the UPC party will even be more surprising, given that the party controls no council across the National Triangle since the 2020 municipals. Like the UPC party, other political parties, notably the FDC, the JDC and the UCDI, are competing even without a single council to their credit. These 3 will be battling with the UPC and the CPDM over the control of the Central region. The Central region has the highest number of political parties competing, followed by the West, the Adamawa and the Far North, with 4 parties each. The UNDP moves beyond the traditional Grand North to compete in the East, while the UDC and the UMS see comfort in their traditional West region of Cameroon. Like the 2, the ANDP and the MDR are running only in their Far North region. Same with the FSNC of Issa Chiroma Bakari, which has not stretched out of its traditional North region.
And now, a huge consignment of roadside drugs has been seized in the North Regional Headquarters of Garwa in the presence of security forces as well as officials of the Ministry of Public Health, and the drugs are expected to be destroyed in the days ahead, as Smart Jikan tells us in this report.
It was an unannounced move that was taken by officials of public health in Garwa, North region of Cameroon. Their outing was to continue the fight against illegal sales of drugs in markets, with most of the drug sellers not recognized by the Ministry and Delegation of Public Health. The operation to stop these illegal sales of drugs in market was headed by the Inspector of Pharmaceutical Unit in the Ministry of Public Health, Dr. Sama, alongside the Regional Delegate of Public Health in the North region. During this operation, there was a seizure of a good quantity of drugs which entered the country through Nigeria. Reports have it that this sector of economy in the North region has employed over 40% of the population in the entire North region, with Benue having the lion's share, 85% of its population selling these drugs along the road. We have made this operation to discourage those who sell illegal drugs along the road. It's a simultaneous exercise also taking place in the Far North region. In Garwa, 3 teams went out at the same time in 3 different markets for the same exercise. We are well informed about the zones that this business is going on, so we are taking it gently.
Pour pouvoir, n'est-ce pas, traquer tous ces personnes qui excellent dans la vente illicite des médicaments, qui nous causent beaucoup de problèmes de santé.
With the seizure of these drugs, the local community will also be affected, as report has it that 95% of the local population depends on roadside drugs, since they consider that sold in the pharmacy as too expensive. The drugs that were seized will be destroyed in the days ahead. We are going to destroy them. There is a regional committee set up just to destroy everything we've seized today. With the destruction of these stores and drugs, one thing is certain, that the people who were once employed by this type of activity will now be unemployed.
And now in education, the National Bilingualism Week has been launched in Banjok by officials of the Ministry of Secondary Education. During the ceremony, the officials called on the students to stop shying away from the English language. Immaculate for Gwe reports.
Activities marking the celebration of the 18th edition of the National Bilingualism Day in full steam at Government Bilingual High School Banjok in the Upper Camp Division Center region of Cameroon. Commemorated under the theme A Window to Culture and Technologies, authorities from the Ministry of Secondary Education their address presented the state of bilingualism in the region while lauding the efforts made by both teachers and students to promote a culture of bilingualism. Being bilingual is an added advantage for the individual. If you're able to master other cultures and languages, chances are higher that you will easily succeed in life. In the course of the launching, the most bilingual students of various schools were offered gifts. They were encouraged not to relent their efforts.
Happy to speak English and French because English can help you when you go somewhere. You find some people who don't speak English. You can speak the same language than them. Peut-être comme tu compares l'anglais et le français, comme tu parles peut-être d'un pays que tu vois que on parle seulement l'anglais, tu peux parler le même langage.
Principals of institutions have advanced their will of effectively implementing special bilingual programs in their various institutions. Now more than ever, we need to stop creating barriers. We need to promote quality education for sustainable development. Effective implementation of the special bilingualism education program is needed for both francophones and anglophones. Despite being regarded as a bilingual country, very few Cameroonians can speak both languages fluently. The National Bilingualism Day is an event celebrated every year in order to promote the two official languages of the country.
And now, how bilingual are Cameroonians, most Cameroonians, especially those of the French expression? Our reporter Lucie Liengu Asia took her microphone into the streets of Douala and asked the city dwellers to tell us how much Cameroonians are bilingual.
Few days to the celebration of the National Day of Bilingualism in Cameroon, some inhabitants in the city of Douala say they find it difficult to speak both languages.
I speak French more than English. I don't speak English because I don't have opportunity to speak every time. If I have neighbors or classmates with who I can speak English, I will do it every time.
He says Cameroon is a bilingual country, but Cameroonians are not bilingual. They can't speak English. Others think schools have a major role in the promotion of both languages.
My children who are in bilingual schools, at home, they don't speak English every time. It's French that they are speaking. Then I don't know why.
To some, there are several factors affecting bilingualism in Cameroon.
If I come to an office that is a Frenchman, I want to speak big grammars that will confuse the person. He will not understand me, but if I speak the basic English, he will. Same as a Frenchman also. Speaking in a simple French system, we will easily understand.
Bilingualism is very good, a very good system. But the fact is that as we are living in our country, Anglophones and Francophones are not together. That's why we cannot speak both languages at the same time.
The National Day of Bilingualism, an event celebrated every first Friday, February of each year nationwide to promote the two official languages.
They understand.
Bilingualism is very good, a very good system. But the fact is that as we are living in our country, Anglophones and Francophones are not together. That's why we cannot speak both languages at the same time.
The National Day of Bilingualism, an event celebrated every first Friday, February of each year nationwide to promote the two official languages. Cameroon, some inhabitants in the city of Douala say they find it difficult to speak both languages.
I speak French more than English. I don't speak English because I don't have opportunity to speak every time. If I have neighbors or classmates with who I can speak English.
Day of Bilingualism, an event celebrated every first Friday, February of each year nationwide to promote the two official languages.
Merci beaucoup, Lucille Yengu et Sia. Viewers, thank you so much for always being with us. But don't go away. As usual, our programs continue. Serge Halangoto will be in the studio. That will be at exactly 7 p.m. for your favorite program, Equinoxe and Julien Bedbisai. We will be with you at 8 p.m. as usual for the news in the French language. Bye-bye for now.